Hey everybody, welcome back. This is going to be another double upload for my membership website, The Kula, and for YouTube. If you're finding me on YouTube, finding this practice on YouTube, thank you for being here. I hope you'll come check us out in The Kula sometime. I'm going to put some links and some codes below for you to come try it out. I upload 3 classes per week inside The Kula of all sorts of variety of styles and class links and difficulty levels and focuses, and it's a really, really, really wonderful, lovely community. So come hang. We've got lots of in-person events coming up in the queue for 2024 as well, both retreats and teacher trainings, workshops, all of the things. You can find all of it below. For today's practice, this is going to be a funky, playful sequence that I've been loving lately, and we're just going to jump right into it. Join me in a child's pose to start. So walking the knees wide, big toes together, hips to heels, and then walk the arms out long in front of you and really root finger pads and knuckle pads into the floor. Fill up here, a big inhale all the way to the top. And a big exhale, let it go. Empty out all the way to the bottom, like really, really meet empty. And then refill, inhale all the way to the top. Big exhale, let it go. And allow for the breath to return to long and even inhales and exhales. Come up onto the fingertips of the palms, actually lift from the mat. Maybe you shift the gaze forward towards the thumbs. Can you traction the heart a little closer to the floor? And then maybe find almost a little bit of a pulse. Heart towards the mat. And getting into the shoulders, big overhead extension happening in the arms. Soften the palms back down to the floor as you roll forward into your tabletop position. Wrists under shoulders, walk the knees underneath the hips, and then start here just by circling out the wrists. So forward, side, back, other side. Switch direction of your circles. Find your way back through center. Shift forward and lift the heels of the hands from the floor. So press into the knuckle pads of your first 4 fingers. And then release heels of the palms back down to the floor. We're going to lift and lower a couple of times. So lift, lower, lift, lower. Keep the arms straight, the insides of the elbows rotating forward. Get a little bit of engagement in the core so that you can find some stability there. And the only movement that's happening in the body is a lift and a lower of the heels of the palms. Tuck onto the toes if you're not there yet. Let's sit back to the heels. Bring the hands out in front of you, all 10 fingers to interlace and circle out the wrists. So rolling out the wrists in one direction. And then swap it out, roll out the wrists in the other direction. Press the heels of the palms forward as you round through the back body. Again, toes are tucked under, so it's likely that you're feeling a lot of sensation in the feet right now. Get as straight as you can through the arms. And it's like the heels of the hands are reaching for a wall in front of you, and the back of the heart is reaching for a wall behind you. Big round through the back body, tuck the tailbone, maybe even engagement in the glutes there. And then on your in-breath, arms stay straight, press the palms up towards the ceiling, peel the tailbone to the space behind, heart threads through. So think cat-cow in the spine as you exhale, round through the back body, press through the heels of the palms. And then in breath, thread the heart through. Heels of the palms press up towards the sky. Tailbone opens to the space behind. 2 more times. Exhale, curl in. In breath, open up. Exhale, round through the back body. Inhale, pull through. Release the interlace of the hands, and as you do, untuck the toes, sitting to the tops of the feet, just finding neutral for a moment, but bring the hands to interlace at the low back. Again, threading the heart through. Maybe the thumbs chase the toes or chase the floor behind you. May or may not actually make contact, no worries either way. And then keep this interlace of the hands, an option to fold over the thighs. Forehead towards the floor. Keep inviting the heels of the hands in towards each other and lifting the hands up and away from the back body. Here for one more inhale. And one more exhale. Release the interlace of the hands. Bringing hands back underneath the shoulders as you press up into a tabletop position. Couple cycles of your cat-cow here. In breath to open collarbones with tailbone and gaze, and then exhale round through the back body. In breath, open up. Exhale, close it out. Just one more time. In breath, open. And exhale, close. Come back through neutral. Tuck onto the toes. Lift the knees just to a hover above the mat. Really, really just an inch above the floor. Think of squeezing the heels of the hands towards the toes and the toes towards the heels of the hands. You can either stay right here or you could play with coming up onto right fingertips. So the palm is lifted from the floor, just holding here for a moment. Knees are truly to a hover. And drop the right palm back down. Maybe you come up onto the left fingertips, left palm lifts. Spicing things up a little bit, left palm back down to the floor. Maybe you come onto right fingertips. You can either stay here, maybe left toes hover to an inch above the floor. Left toes down, right palm down, last time, last side, come onto left fingertips. Welcome to stay, or right toes could come to a hover. Flex out the right foot. Drop the right toes back down, left palm back down, hold. Downward facing dog, pull the heart back towards the thighs and then lift the hips. As soon as you straighten out the legs, start to pedal out the feet. So bend into one knee, bend into the other knee, shift the hips side to side. You're kicking heels towards the floor. They may or may not actually touch. But move around a bit here. Get into the hips, get into the shoulders, get into the spine. And then find your way back through neutral. So find center, feet hip width distance apart. Come really high onto the toes. And then as you bend into both knees, drop the hips over to the right. So think of sending outside edge of the right foot and inside edge of the left foot to the floor. In breath, back up through center. And then exhale over to the left. Press into the right palm. Keep that contact. Inhale back through center. Once more each side. Exhale over to the right. Big bend into the knees. Hips pull back. Press into the left palm. In breath center, last time, exhale over to the left. In breath, come back through center. A big wave up the spine rolls you forward into a plank shape. Knees can always drop if you need them to. We're gonna lower all the way to the belly, but we're gonna take our time getting there. So shift forward a little bit. Start to bend into the elbows. We lower for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Soften all the way down. Untuck the toes. Bring the hands wider than the mat. And then tend out the fingertips. In breath, lift the heart. Get strong into the glutes. Exhale, roll back down. Heart meets earth. 2 more times. In breath, lift up. Exhale, release. Heart to earth. 1 more time. In breath, lift all the way to the top. Shoulders slide down the back body. Let that reach the heart a little bit farther forward. And then as you exhale, release. Heart all the way back down to the floor. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck onto toes. We're pressing back up for that same count of 8. So knees can stay down or they can lift. Here's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Plank pose. Roll the hips back. Downward facing dog. Come onto toes, bend into knees. On your exhale, step or hop feet to the top of the mat. Find your first forward fold of practice. In breath, halfway lift. Exhale, let it go. Inhale to rise, come all the way to stand. Arms sweep up and over. On your exhale, forward fold, come right back down. In breath, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, step back to your plank shape, wrists under shoulders. This time bend into the elbows, lower just halfway. Elbows hug into the rib cage, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, pull through to your upward facing dog or any other variation of back bend you'd like. And then exhale, roll over the toes and the hips up and back, downward facing. Come onto toes, bend into knees. Exhale, feet to the top of the mat, fold. In breath, halfway lift. Out breath, let it go. In breath, rise. Come all the way to stand. Arms sweep up and over. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. In breath, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, step or hop back. Chaturanga, elbows bend, hover, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, pull through upward facing dog. And as you exhale, roll over the toes, downward facing, send the hips up and back. On your inhale, sweep the right toes high, bend into the right knee, and open up the hip. Option to stay here, come up onto left fingertips. Option to stay here, or left hand could start to reach back towards left hip. It's possible that the left hand reaches for the right toes. Totally just an option, throwing you right into pretty challenging optional shape here. If the left hand has lifted from the mat, we're going to bring it back down. So left hand down to the mat, shift forward, right knee comes to the right elbow. And then slide the right knee down to the right wrist where it's hovering above the floor. Right knee slides up towards right elbow, or maybe all the way to right armpit even. And then right knee slides down to right wrist. Keep contact with the arm as you traction up towards right armpit. And then down towards right wrist. Up towards right armpit, and then all the way down into your pigeon pose. Right knee drops to the floor at the right wrist. Left leg stays extended long behind you. Now we're not going to fold forward in this pigeon. Stay up on the hands, either out in front of you, or if it's possible, you could even walk the hands back by the hips. We're here just for a moment. Get tall through the crown of the head. Take an inhale and take an exhale. Let's drop our weight onto the right hip. A little bit of mobility brought into our sequence. Bring the left knee off to the left side of the mat. So you're going more towards a 90-90 shape. Right shin parallel to the top of the mat. Left shin parallel to the left side of the mat. With or without the help of the hands, can you roll the knees up towards the ceiling? And then all the way over to the left. Roll the knees back up towards the ceiling. And then all the way to the right. Take one or two more on your own. Moving with the rhythm of breath as you shift from side to side. And then next time you're in center, so find the place where both of your feet are planted to the floor. You're probably off the side of your mat a bit. That's totally fine. Bring hands underneath the shoulders, fingers point towards the heels. Lift the hips up towards the sky, reverse table. Again, you're probably totally wonky on your mat. That is all good. Drop the hips down to the floor, tap the hips. And then exhale, drive the hips up towards the ceiling. In breath, hips tap the floor. Out breath, drive the hips up towards sky. One more time, in breath, tap. Exhale, lift. On your in breath, drop the hips back down to the floor. We're gonna windshield wiper the legs back to the top of the mat. Spine is tall. We're gonna play here with lifting the left foot. Step the left foot in front of the right foot. And then with or without the help of the hands, come to standing on the legs as they are. Root into the left foot. Come all the way to stand, bring the right knee into the chest. Right thigh hugs up towards right rib cage, take an inhale. As you exhale, right ankle over the left knee, figure four chair pose, send the hips back, reach the fingertips forward out in front of you. So like you're reaching for something that's just past the top of your mat. Root into the left heel, in breath, come all the way back up to stand, pull the right knee into the chest. We're gonna do that one more time. Exhale, right ankle over left knee, send the hips back, really pull the right knee down towards the mat as you reach fingertips for something that's just out of reach. On your in-breath, back up to stand, right knee into the chest. On your exhale, lever to your warrior three, kicking right leg behind you. Spine parallel to the floor. Right leg parallel to the floor. Knit the low ribs in. Take an inhale. As you exhale, the only thing that changes is a deep bend into the left knee here, crouching warrior. So deep bend into the left knee, keep the right toes lifted. Maybe actually they lift a little higher. Get strong into the right glutes. Hold. Step the right toes to the back of the mat as you inhale, high crescent lunge. The weight of the hips drop down and forward as you get tall through the fingertips. Inhale. Exhale, warrior two. Right foot flat parallel to the back edge of the mat. Get long through the fingertips. As you inhale, Skandasana, hips on top of right heel. Left leg straight, left toes point up. You can always use the hands for support as you need to in these shapes that require a bit more mobility, a bit more range. We're gonna pivot to the back of the mat, left hand plants. Right fingertips sweep up and over. Option to ground into the left hand and to step the right toes all the way behind you for a wild thing. Right toes behind you, drive the hips up towards the sky and roll the right shoulder onto the back body. Again, you can stay in the low lunge twist because we are going to come right back there. So if you've taken your wild thing out the way that we came into it, step the right foot back to the left hand as you shift to the left toes. Keep the twist to the right. Pivot to the left, wide-legged forward fold. Feet parallel to the ends of the mat. As soon as you land in this shape, right hand is going to plant halfway up the mat. Left fingertips sweep open towards the sky. Find your twist to the left. Take an inhale at the top here. On your exhale, thread the left arm underneath you. So left fingertips are reaching for the right toes or right ankle, may or may not touch. Right hand could even walk a little bit farther in front of you. And then on your in-breath, open back up to the sky, left hand reaches. Exhale, thread through, left fingertips reach towards the right ankle or the right foot. In-breath, open back up to the sky. One more time on your exhale, thread through, left fingertips towards right ankle or foot. On your in-breath, open back up. This time pause. Option to find the bind, left hand behind you towards the right inner thigh. Option to stay right as you are, or maybe right hand reaches forward, lifting the right hand up off of the mat. Just an option. We're gonna unravel the shape, right hand down, unravel the bind if you've got it. Folding forward, Prasarita Padottanasana. And on your inhale, roll your way to stand until you come all the way up one vertebrae at a time. Arms sweep up and over once you make it to the top, palms touch. We're gonna shift to the back of the mat, warrior two. So right toes point forward, fingertips reach long in both directions. On your inhale, reverse your warrior, sliding left hand down, left thigh, right arm up and over. Exhale, hands to the mat, frame out the right foot. Step back into your plank pose, wrists underneath the shoulders. Take a step forward with the hands, so hollowing out your plank shape, shoulders reach up towards the ears, tuck the tailbone, strong into the core, strong into the glutes. Take an inhale. As you exhale, both forearms drop to the floor. This could be at the same time or one at a time. Forearm plank, elbows underneath the shoulders. Walk the toes towards the elbows, dolphin. And then as soon as you reach kind of your depth here, pull the heart back towards the thighs a little more, and then walk the toes back, forearm plank. Walk forward, dolphin. And walk back, forearm plank. One more time, walk forward, dolphin pose. Walk back, forearm plank. Okay, one or both at the same time. We're gonna lift the forearms into this hollow plank hold, and then step the hands back underneath the shoulders, plank pose. Option to choose a vinyasa or to skip it and send the hips straight back. We meet in a downward facing dog. Landing in your down dog with an inhale and an exhale. Okay, that whole thing on the other side, sweep the left toes high. Bend into the left knee, open hip. Option to stay right here or to come up onto right fingertips. Maybe right hand reaches back towards the right hip. Might even be that right hand reaches for the left toes, totally just options. And if the right hand has lifted from the mat, we're gonna deliver it back down. So right hand to the floor as you shift forward, left knee makes its way to left elbow, pause. And then slide the knee down to the left wrist. Keep contact with the arm the entire time as you slide left knee back up, maybe all the way to the armpit, and then down to the wrist, and then up to the armpit, and then down to the wrist. One more time, all the way up, and then all the way down into your pigeon pose, left knee to the floor, right leg stays extended behind you. Tall through the crown of the head, either fingertips out in front of you, or maybe you have the space to walk the hands back by the hips a little bit and roll the heart up towards the sky. As you're ready for it, we're gonna drop the left hip off to the left side of the mat. Right leg swings out to the right. So again, we're going towards this 90-90 shape, or kind of deer pose setup is another name I've heard for this orientation of the legs. With or without the help of the hands, we're gonna roll the knees up towards the ceiling, and then over to the right, and then up towards the ceiling, and over to the left, moving side to side a couple of times on your own. And then next time the legs are in center where the feet are planted onto the floor, somewhere about hip width distance, you might move them together a little bit. Hands under shoulders, fingers point towards heels, lift the hips, reverse table. And then tap hips to the floor. Drive the hips up high. And then tap hips to the mat. Let's go two more. Lift them up. And then lower down. Exhale, drive hips up towards sky. In breath, drop back down. Rotate back to the top of the mat. Left shin parallel to the top of the mat. Right leg is off to the right. Hands lift if you can as you step the right foot over the left ankle. So right foot steps out in front of you. Legs stay as they are as you come up to standing on them. So you're standing on the right foot and the left knee. Weight transfers into the right foot. Come all the way to stand, left knee into the chest. As you exhale, left ankle over right knee, send the hips back, send the heart forward. Reach the fingertips towards something that is just out of reach. So get really long in the back line of the upper body and all the way out through the fingertips. Come back to stand, left knee into the chest. And as you exhale, left ankle over right knee, send hips back one more time. Reach the fingertips forward. As you inhale, come all the way to stand, left knee into the chest. As you exhale, warrior three, kick the left leg long behind you, spine parallel to the floor. Left leg parallel to the floor. Pull the low ribs in. If you want a little bit more spice in your warrior three, you can always extend arms out in front of you. Or of course, they can come back to airplane wings. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, bend deep into the right knee. Keep everything else the same. So right thigh is hugging towards the right rib cage, but keep the left toes lifted, and actually they might even lift a little bit higher. Take one more inhale. As you exhale, high crescent lunge, step the left toes back. Upper body lift, shoulders stack on top of the hips. Exhale, open up. Virabhadrasana 2. Back foot spins flat. Fingertips reach long in both directions. Skandasana. Hips come all the way to the left heel. Right leg straight. Right toes point up. We're going to pivot back to the top of the mat with or without the help of the hands, of course, as always. Right hand plants, shift to the right toes, left fingertips sweep up and over. Now remember, we're coming back to this twist, so you're welcome to hold here, or you can play with adding on your wild thing, rolling to the outside edge of the right foot, left knee hugs up towards left armpit as you take a big step over the body, left toes behind you. Drive the hips up, engage into the glutes, and roll the left shoulder open. Meet the shape just for a moment, and then rebound from it as you transition right back where you just came from. So same thing in reverse, left knee up towards left armpit, left foot steps to the right hand as you shift to the right toes. Keep the heart open to the left. As you exhale, pivot to the right, wide-legged forward fold. Left hand to the center of the mat, right fingertips open up. Roll the right rib cage on top of the left. As you exhale, right hand reaches for left ankle or left toes underneath the left arm. In breath, open right fingertips back up towards the sky. Out breath, thread through, right fingertips reach towards the left ankle or foot. In breath, open it back up one more time. Exhale, curl it in. As you inhale, open up to the top, pausing there, option to reach right hand behind you, so right fingertips towards the left inner thigh. Maybe you keep that bind as you extend left fingertips towards the front of the room. Again, we're working towards keeping spine parallel with the floor here, so really firing up the muscles of the core. Roll the right shoulder open, the left rib cage scoops underneath. Maybe you get a little more straight through the left fingertip, or through the left elbow, I mean. Drop the left hand back down as you unravel the bind if you've got it. Circling through center and into your fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. One vertebrae at a time on your inhale, roll your way to stand. Come all the way up. Arms sweep up and over at the top. Bring the palms all the way to touch. As you exhale, warrior two to the top of the mat. So left toes point forward, fingertips reach long in both directions. Inhale, reverse your warrior, right hand, right thigh, left fingertips up and over. As you exhale, hands to the mat, step back to your plank shape, wrists under shoulders. Again, we're spicing this up a little bit. Big step forward with the hands, hollowing out your plank shape for a moment. Tuck the tailbone, knees can drop down anytime you need. Forearms to the floor, forearm plank. Walk the toes towards the elbows, dolphin. Walk the toes back, forearm plank. Toes towards the elbows, dolphin. Toes walk back, forearm plank. One more time, toes walk towards the elbows, dolphin. Toes walk back. Pause in your forearm plank. Press all 10 finger pads and knuckle pads into the mat. One or both at the same time. Lift back up into this hollow hold shape. And then step the hands back underneath the shoulders, wrists underneath the shoulders, plank pose. Either move through Vinyasa, or you can of course skip it. We'll meet with the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Landing here with an inhale. And here with an exhale. We're going to repeat the whole thing again. We're going to speed it up to about 1 breath per movement. I'll make a couple little additions just to spice things up here and there, but for the most part, we're going to keep it the same. On your inhale, sweep the right toes high, bend the knee, open the hip. Option this time to drop the left forearm to the floor. Right knee points up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, lift the left forearm and bring the right knee to tap the right elbow. Hold. Kick the right knee back, open hip. Option to drop left forearm to the floor. Right knee points up towards ceiling. As the left forearm lifts, right knee, right elbow. One more time, kick back. Left forearm might drop to the floor as the right knee lifts. And then shift forward, right knee, right elbow. Slide the right knee down to the right wrist. Pigeon pose. You might walk the hands back by the hips for a moment. Then we're going to drop our weight onto the right hip so we can swing left knee around to the left. Just once this time. Roll the knees up towards the ceiling. And then over to the left. Back up through center. Pause when you get to center. Hands underneath the shoulders. Drive the hips up towards the sky. Reverse your table. Drop the hips back to the floor. And then exhale, lift. Reverse table. One more time. In breath. Tap hips to floor. Exhale, lift back up. In breath, drop the hips to the floor. As you exhale, windshield wiper legs back to the top of the mat, bringing weight off the hands. You can swing the left foot around. Ground into the left foot as you come to standing on the legs as they are, and then all the way to stand, right knee into the chest. As you exhale, just once, right ankle over the left knee, send the hips back, reach the fingertips forward, sit as deep into the left leg as you can. And then all the way back up to stand, right knee into the chest. As you exhale, warrior 3, kick the right leg long behind you, spine parallel to the floor. Take an inhale at the top. And an exhale to find your crouching warrior. Bend into the left knee, sit low. Keep everything else the same. Now come back to your warrior 3, straighten through the left leg. 2 more times. In breath, bend into the left knee. Exhale, straighten out. In breath, bend into the left knee, hold the bottom. Step the right toes to the back of the mat, high crescent lunge, upper body lifts. As you exhale, roll it right open, warrior 2. Skandasana to the back of the mat, hips on top of the right heel. Remember, we're pivoting to the back of the mat for that low twist. Left hand plants, left toes to the floor, right fingertips open. Option to keep rolling it all the way to your wild thing. Right toes could step behind you. Right shoulder scoops onto the back body as you lift the hips high. That same transition in reverse, right knee up towards right armpit. Step the right foot back to the left hand, and as soon as it lands, keep pivoting to the left wide fold. Right hand plants at the center of the mat as left fingertips peel open, find your twist. Just once this time, as you exhale, thread through, left fingertips reach towards the right ankle or the right toes. In breath, open back up towards the sky, left hand reaches. This time, keep the left fingertips up towards the sky. Option to extend right arm out in front of you. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. As you drop right hand back down, circle the left hand back down. Find your wide-legged forward fold. And then roll your way to stand, 1 vertebrae at a time, coming all the way up. Arms sweep up and over, palms come to touch. As you exhale, warrior 2 to the back of the mat. Right toes point forward, fingertips reach. In breath, roll it into your reverse. Left hand, left thigh, right arm up and over. Exhale, hands to mat. Step back, find your plank pose, wrists underneath the shoulders. Step forward with the hands, hollow out the plank. And then drop the forearms to the floor. Forearm plank. Walk the toes in towards the elbows, dolphin pose. This time, hold here. Press the floor away from you with the forearms. Nudge the heart a little closer to the thighs. Here for 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, walk the toes back, forearm plank. Press into the hands as you lift the forearms from the floor, hollowing out your plank pose. Step the hands back underneath the shoulders, high plank, all the planks. Option to take your vinyasa or skip it and go straight back. We'll meet in a downward facing dog. Last time, last side for this whole sequence. On your in-breath, sweep the left toes high. Bend into left knee, open hip. Option to drop the right forearm to the floor, really pressing into the right forearm. And then as you lift the forearm from the mat, shift forward, left knee, left elbow. In breath, kick back, bend the knee, open hip, right forearm could tap the mat. And then lift the forearm, shift forward, left knee, left elbow. One more time, kick back, bend the knee, open hip, right forearm could tap the floor. And then as you lift the right forearm, shift forward, left knee, left elbow, hold. Slide the left knee down all the way for your pigeon pose. Untuck the right toes. Maybe hands walk back by the hips just for a moment here. Nudge the heart forward, shoulders onto back body. And then as you send weight off to the left, right leg swings to the right, setting up for your deer shape. Left shin parallel with the top of the mat, right shin parallel to the right side of the mat. Roll the right knees up towards, roll the knees to the right, and then all the way to the right, up towards the sky, and then to the right. And then back to the left, and we'll pause when they're in center, both feet planted to the floor. Hands underneath the shoulders, drive the hips up towards the sky. Reverse your table. Lower the hips to tap the mat. Exhale, lift them up. One more time, in breath, tap hips to floor. Exhale, drive the hips up high. On your in-breath, hips back down to the mat. We're going to roll the knees back over to the left. As you lift the hands from the floor, squaring shoulders off to the top of the mat. Right leg swings around so you can plant the right foot out in front of the left. Come to standing on the legs as they are, and then rooting into the right foot all the way to stand, left knee into the chest. Take an in-breath here. As you exhale, left ankle over the right knee, send the hips back, send the heart forward. Reach the fingertips as long as you can in front of you. In breath, all the way back to stand, left knee into chest. As you exhale, warrior three, kick the left leg long behind. Shift the left hip down a bit. Take an inhale and an exhale. Take as deep of a bend as you can into the right knee. So hugging the right thigh towards right rib cage. Keep the left leg lifted, crouching warrior. Re-straighten through the right leg. 2 more times. In breath, big bend into the right knee. And then exhale, straighten out. 1 more time, big bend into the right knee. This time pausing at your capacity for the shape. So maybe you sink a little deeper, lift the left toes a little higher. And then step the left toes to the back of the mat, high crescent lunge. As you exhale, roll it right on through, warrior two, gaze over the right middle finger. In breath, Skandasana, hips to the left heel, right leg straight, right toes point up. We're pivoting back to the top of the mat into our low twist, right hand plants, shift to the right toes, left fingertips open up. Welcome to stay, or to take that big transition all the way to your wild thing, left knee up towards left armpit, tap the left toes behind you. Really meet the shape, so don't rush right past it. But then as soon as you meet it, rebound from it. We're coming all the way back to the shape we came from. So left foot steps back next to the right hand, shift to the right toes. As soon as you land, pivot to the right, wide-legged fold. Left hand halfway between the feet, right fingertip circle up and over. Meet the top of your inhale. As you exhale, thread through, right fingertips reach towards the left ankle or foot or wherever they get the grip. In breath, back open, right hand towards the sky, pause here. So right middle finger is reaching as high as it can towards the sky. Stay here, or left hand could extend forward. Little micro bend in the knee joints just to make sure the joint spaces are protected. Twist the heart a little bit more to the right here for 5, 4, 3, 2. As you drop the left hand back down, circle the right hand back down and fold. Wide-legged Prasarita Padottanasana. On your in-breath, roll your way 1 vertebrae at a time all the way up. Arms reach up and over at the top. And then as you exhale, warrior two back to the top of the mat. Left toes point forward. Reach through the fingertips. As you inhale, reverse your warrior right hand, right thigh. And then exhale, cartwheel the hands. Step it back to your plank shape. 1 more time, wrists under shoulders. Take a big step forward with the hands, our last time here, hollowing out your plank pose. Drop the forearms to the floor, forearm plank. Walk the toes towards the elbows, dolphin pose. Heart hugs back towards the thighs. If you've got forearm stand in your practice, you're welcome to play with it here, or headstand for that matter as well. But otherwise, we're just hanging out. We're building strength. Big overhead extension in the shoulders. Building strength in the shoulders by pulling heart back towards the thighs and pressing the floor away from you with the forearms. Here for 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, let's walk the toes back towards your forearm plank. And then pressing into the hands, lift the forearms from the floor, hollow hold. Step the hands back underneath the shoulders. Pause. Either choose a vinyasa or send the hips straight back. We'll meet in our downward facing dog. Landing here with an inhale and here with an exhale. Come up onto toes, bend into knees. As you exhale, step, walk, hop. Could play with a handstand along the way. We're going to land in a passive squat, so feet wider than the hands at the top of the mat, hips drop low. Press the elbows into the knees. Palms come to touch at the heart space. It's very possible that the heels are not on the floor here. That's totally fine. If you need to sit up onto a block here, you can do that as well. Get taller through the crown of the head, and then before we go anywhere else, see if you can use the strength of the glutes to pull the knees off of the elbows and hold. Just hold. And then release the knees back into the elbows. 2 more times. Lift the knees off of the elbows using the strength of the glutes. It's almost like you're trying to roll to the outside edges of the feet. Get taller through the crown of the head. And then release, let the knees rest into the elbows. Let's go 1 more time. Knees pull off of the elbows, strong through the glutes. Let me know if your booty is sore tomorrow. Final 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, release, knees back into the elbows. Plant the hands out in front of you, crow pose, knees to the arms. If you're working on crow pose, toes can absolutely stay on the floor here, building strength, or you can play with lifting 1 foot, lifting both feet. Bit of a round through the back body, let back of the heart reach for the space above it. Elbows nudge towards each other just a little. If you're feeling really solid in your crow pose, you could roll at the ankles here. Get a little bit of rest for the feet, switch direction of the circles. Then we're going to bring the feet back to the floor, hip width distance apart. Now what we're going to do is come into our forward fold. So lift the hips, feet hip width distance apart. Clasp opposite elbows here. Find a bit of a sway side to side. Dropping the weight of the head down, soften the jaw. And releasing fingertips down towards the floor. On your inhale, roll your way to stand. Coming all the way up. Arms up and over at the top. Maybe palms come all the way to touch. And then exhale, hands to the heart space. Okay, I'm going to talk us through a couple of arm balance options before we slow things way down. I'm going to first play with a flying pigeon. And then I'm going to give the option to take that into a crow pose. So I'll of course break it down, and there's a stretchy figure 4 chair, which we've been in already in practice, that you can hang out in if you'd rather. Let's shift our weight into the left foot, pull the right knee into the chest. Again, we've been here lots, right ankle over left knee, send hips back, heart forward. This is stopping point number 1. You can absolutely hang out here. You can fold forward until hands make their way all the way to the floor, or if you've got 2 blocks and that's more accessible, you can bring hands to blocks instead. Step 1 for your flying pigeon pose. You've got to get hands really rooted onto something, floor blocks, and then right knee to the right elbow, bend into both elbows. Biggest tip I can give you here is that right toes are wrapping around the left arm a lot. And then a lean forward, but keep the collarbones broad. Maybe left toes lift from the mat. Maybe left leg extends long behind you. Now, if you wanted to take this into your crow pose, or balance transition, you could play with then pulling left knee back in and setting left knee on the back of the arm where it would go for crow, and then uncrossing or unhooking the right toes from the left arm and squeezing right heel into the glutes. Bakasana, crow pose. Now, because I've given a lot of options, it's likely that we're in different places. So figure 4 chair, flying pigeon, crow, anything in between. So whenever, however you get there, we're going to plant the feet back to the floor, hip width distance apart. And let's all come back into a forward fold. The feet hip width distance apart. As much of a bend in the knees as you need to bring palms under the feet so that toes come to the wrist creases. We're just going to give the wrists a little bit of rest before we shift to the other side. And by all means, if you're still playing, continue to play. Elbows pull out towards the edges of the mat. If you're with me, traction the heart a little closer to the thighs. Drop the weight of the head. And then releasing the hands from underneath the feet. One more time, a big roll up to stand. Sweep the arms up and over, gaze up to fingers. And then palms meet at the heart. Same thing, second side. Start by hugging the left thigh up towards left rib cage. Then we're going to find our figure 4, left ankle over the right knee, send the hips back, send the heart forward. Very possible that this side feels different from the first. So just know that as we go into it. Maybe you bring the hands all the way down to floor or to blocks. Much of a bend in the right knee as you can to get you there. Left knee to the back of the left arm. Left toes wrap around the right arm. A lean forward, but collarbones stay broad as you maybe pull the right heel in. You could kick the right toes back. And again, you could play with pulling right knee to the back of the right arm, unhooking the left toes, and coming into your crow pose. All just options. Giving us a couple breaths here simply to play. From your crow pose, you can also go to things like chaturanga or headstand or handstand. As you're ready for it, let's meet back in a forward fold. Crown of the head reaches towards the floor. Clasp opposite elbows here and find a bit of a sway, side to side, left and right. Find your way back through center. Release fingertips towards the floor. Shift onto the toes so that the heels lift, and then bend into the knees, drop the hips to the heels. And drop the heels to the floor, drop the hips to the floor. We're gonna roll down the back body, coming all the way down to set up for a bridge pose or a wheel pose. So either way is great. You can also find a supported bridge with a block under the tailbone. If you're with me, we're gonna start with bridge pose, hands down by the sides, ground into heels, drive the hips up towards the ceiling. Think of squeezing the heels towards the shoulder blades and using that to traction the kneecaps forward. And one more press of the heels to elevate the hips a little bit higher. Take an inhale here. And an exhale here. If you wanted to come up into wheel pose from here, hands up by the shoulders, fingers point towards the heels. And then it's possible that you press to the top of the head first, just to help you kind of find some balance. And eventually straighten through the arms. Lifts the entire upper body up, or the entire body up. Couple cycles of breath wherever you land. If you're in your wheel pose, stay strong in the glutes. And work towards straightening the arms. And from whatever shape you're in, the release is kind of on your own timing, but make it slow. Releasing one vertebrae at a time back down to the mat. And once you get there, walk the feet wide towards the edges of the mat and let the knees drop into each other. So feet wide, knees in towards the midline. Let the arms come out by the sides and the palms to face up. Allow for the fingers to kind of naturally curl in towards the center of the palm. Can you soften the jaw? And take an inhale. And keeping feet where they're at on your exhale, windshield wiper both knees over to the right. We're gonna pause here. Right foot stacks on top of the left knee. So right foot, left knee. This is definitely one that people get rights and lefts mixed up on. So you might double check one more time. Right foot, left knee. I'm using a little pull of the right foot onto the left knee to roll to the inside edge of the left foot. And be a little deeper into the sensation. Now we're going to keep the right ankle over left knee. Think figure 4 as you roll the legs to the left. Bottom of the left foot plants to the floor, and then roll to the outside edge of the left foot, bringing right foot all the way to the mat on the left side of the mat. So right foot to the left. Right knee is pointed up towards the ceiling. So you're keeping right ankle over left knee the whole time. We're going to roll back and forth 2 more times. Roll to the bottom of the left foot, and then use a tug of the right ankle on the left knee to bring legs over to the right. On your inhale, back through center. And on your exhale, over to the left. Inhale, back through center. Exhale all the way to the right. Pausing there, let's unhook. We're going to just make our way to the other side. So roll the knees up towards the ceiling and then all the way over to the left. And as you land there, left ankle on top of right knee, a little pull of left ankle onto the right knee, rolling to the inside edge of the right foot. And keep the stack. Left ankle, right knee as you roll the legs through center. And then exhale right. Bottom of the left foot to the floor. Left knee points up towards sky. We're going to roll side to side a couple of times. Legs back through center. Keep the hook of left ankle as you exhale over to the left. In breath, back through center. Out breath, over to the right. In breath, back through center. Exhale, left. Pausing here. Unhook the left foot. Roll the knees back through center. And then pull the legs into the chest. Lift the shoulders from the mat so you can work towards clasping opposite elbows around the knees. Again, thighs really hug into the rib cage. And as you're ready for it, shavasana. Extend the legs long to the top of the mat. Dropping arms out by the sides, palms to face up. Fingers to curl in towards the center of the palms. Can you soften the jaw? Can you soften the eyelids, the throat, the collarbones? Toes splay out towards the corners of the mat. I'm going to leave us here to end our practice today so that you can spend a little bit more time in shavasana. When you're ready to come out, make it slow, make it sweet. Be gentle with yourself in the transition space. Thank you so much for showing up. I hope to move with you again really soon. Namaste.